What if your entire body were made of liquid metal, but it never melted? You could fly through black holes like they were toll booths, take a supernova to the face, and fight with cosmic baddies, and still look like a polished statue after all that. Sounds neat, doesn't it? Well, that's just another Tuesday for the Silver Surfer. We're talking about a guy whose skin is made from something stronger than vibranium, and who literally rides a cosmic surfboard faster than light. And all of that was gifted by a planet-eating space god. So, how does a humble alien from Zenn-La get transformed into a cosmic being? What makes his body so different from others? Today, we'll be breaking down the actual anatomy of the Silver Surfer, right down to the atoms he is barely made of. Before we get too deep into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to the channel. It's a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is the Silver Surfer and what is his origin story? Before he was a chrome-plated interstellar juggernaut, he was a lean intellectual living on a planet called Zenn-La. And trust us, it was so advanced that it basically cured boredom. There was no war or crime or even poverty, just science and philosophical debates over dinner. Think of Zenn-La as the IKEA showroom of planets, clean and beautiful, but kinda sterile. Norrin Radd, however, wasn't content with just sipping cosmic lattes and contemplating existentialism. He was fascinated by the stars and the unknown parts of the universe. But then came Galactus, the celestial being the size of a god with the appetite of a black hole. He showed up like the worst dinner guest with an intent to devour Zenn-La, and unlike most planets, Zenn-La didn't have a superhero or emergency army. Their defense strategy was basically just hope he's full. Norrin Radd didn't buy that and made a radical move to fly straight to Galactus to bargain for the safety of his planet. Norrin swore to serve him in return for sparing Zenn-La, but not as his slave, as a herald. Think of him as a cosmic guide who would seek out other worlds for Galactus to consume. That one decision changed everything. Galactus infused Norrin with the power cosmic, stripping away his physical form and re-engineering him into the Silver Surfer. His skin was replaced by a silvery, nearly indestructible shell that shimmered like polished stardust. He didn't need food or air or sleep. He could fly faster than light, but great power comes with a great cost, and Norrin had lost his memories of love in the process. His ability to feel. That's not a metaphor either. His emotions were literally dulled by Galactus to make him more efficient as a herald. So, for a long time, he drifted through galaxies, locating lush, energy-rich worlds for Galactus. He wasn't a villain, just painfully stuck in the role of cosmic guide. Eventually, his moral compass sparked back to life, especially after meeting the Fantastic Four, who showed him the beauty of Earth. It reminded him of his home planet and everything he'd lost, and that's when the real Silver Surfer began to emerge. What is the power cosmic and how does it work? So how do you give someone the ability to rearrange atoms with a thought? You give them the power cosmic, Galactus' version of a starter pack but dialed up to insanity. Now, let's be clear, this isn't just a big ball of space magic. The power cosmic is a foundational energy source that literally rewrites physics. It's the stuff Galactus uses to keep himself alive and relevant in a universe full of reality-warping maniacs. When he grants it to his heralds, he's giving them the tiniest sliver of his own essence, but even that sliver is enough to break the universe's rules. For the Silver Surfer, this energy became his armor and brain. He can absorb starlight and redirect it as concentrated energy blasts. He can heal at an insane rate by fully regenerating his body if need be. If he feels like it, he can shrink down to quantum level or expand his senses to feel gravitational shifts halfway across the galaxy. He's like a walking Swiss Army knife made of supernovas. And the man doesn't need fuel. The power cosmic sustains him without needing to eat or sleep. He doesn't even age in the traditional sense. The Silver Surfer could float through the void for 1,000,000 years and not develop a single wrinkle or existential crisis. Okay, maybe a small existential crisis or two. One of his most insane feats is that he can transmute matter. This means that he can turn sand into glass or metal into vapor or completely rewrite the molecular structure of a dying planet if he really focuses. He's revived a few extinct ecosystems and even temporarily given people superpowers. If there's a rip in space-time or a planet's core is about to explode, he can sense it instinctively. That's how tuned in he is. What is the Silver Surfer's body made of? You'd think calling him the Silver Surfer would mean he's covered in silver, right? Nope, that's like calling molten lava warm soup. His body isn't silver in the metal sense, he's coated in a nearly indestructible alloy that defies categorization, not made on any periodic table you know. This is something that came straight out of Galactus' personal sci-fi chemistry set. Once Norrin Radd took the Herald deal, Galactus re-engineered his molecular structure to house the power cosmic. That coating is a fusion of an unknown cosmic fluid, and yet solid enough to survive planetary impacts. It shifts and reacts like a living suit of armor that's constantly adapting to forces without ever cracking or dulling. You could toss him into deep space or dunk him into the sun, he'll just float there, just chilling and absorbing some solar energy like he's sunbathing. He has no biological needs in the traditional sense, no organs or a beating heart. Even when he breathes, it's more symbolic than anything. It's like a poetic habit that he keeps around for dramatic effect. Let's talk about durability. His body has tanked black holes, gravity wells, walked through collapsing stars, and even endured magical blasts from beings like Mephisto without turning into space dust. But he's not just a damage sponge. That glowing silver surface is constantly radiating low levels of cosmic energy like an aura of nuclear starlight. Not enough to fry everyone in the room, but enough to give even powerful foes a moment of hesitation. He's literally radioactive, but in a dignified god-tier kind of way. What are his physical limits, if any? On paper, the Silver Surfer reads like a cheat code. This guy can fly faster than light and shrug off black hole-level forces like they're mosquito bites. But believe it or not, he does have limits. They're just the kind that start way above where everyone else maxes out. Let's be clear. Physically, he's in a league of his own. He's outmatched Thor in a slugfest, absorbed Hulk's punches without flinching, and even stood toe-to-toe with Gladiator, who once knocked out a planet-sized threat just by headbutting it. Surfer doesn't rely on raw strength alone, but if pushed, he can throw hands harder than most beings in the Marvel Universe. But what makes him unique is that he rarely wants to. Norrin Radd is a philosopher first and a fighter second. He avoids violence unless absolutely necessary. That restraint is both admirable and one of his few practical limits. He's got the power to destroy moons, but the mindset of a monk. If you ask us, that's a pretty great combo. That moral code keeps him from unleashing his full fury most of the time. Where his real limits begin to show is in the presence of cosmic tier beings. Entities like the Beyonder or Eternity exist on a level of power that makes the Surfer look like background noise. Even Thanos, when wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, used him more as a warning shot than a threat. Remember that moment in the Infinity Gauntlet story where Thanos throws Surfer through an entire planet like a fastball? He survived, but it clearly shows there are beings that can outmuscle him with zero warm-up. Another vulnerability is emotional instability. If Norrin's mental state cracks and he's overcome by grief or doubt, it can mess with his control. There have been rare instances where his compassion interfered with his efficiency and weakened his reflexes. Then there's the wild card, being cut off from the power cosmic. It usually takes Galactus revoking it himself or some hyper-advanced tech designed to block cosmic channels. But when it happens, the Silver Surfer drops down to just being regular old Norrin Radd. What is the surfboard, and is it part of him? Let's talk about the most misunderstood piece of equipment in all of comic books. The board. Not just a surfboard, the Silver Surfer's board is an extension of himself, literally. Think of it less like a vehicle and more like a living, thinking limb, except it's shaped like something you'd see on Venice Beach if Venice Beach had warp drives. The board doesn't have a name. Surfer just calls it my board, which sounds humble until you realize that board has flown through stars and nuclear blasts and phased through dimensions like it was swiping through a dating app. And no, it's not made of silver or metal. Like the Surfer's body, the board is composed of the same unknown cosmic substance imbued with the power cosmic. It shares his energy signature and responds to his thoughts. He doesn't ride it so much as sync with it. With just a mental nudge, the board zips through space. Need to fly faster than light? Done. Need to hover silently inside a black hole? Cool. Need to teleport across galaxies or carry passengers without seatbelts? The board's got your back. Here's where it gets wild though. It can fight. In some comics, the board breaks off mid-battle to intercept attacks, knock back enemies, or act as a distraction. And it doesn't just follow commands, it understands intention. It's been shown rescuing people autonomously, shielding innocents during chaos, and all without a single spoken word. Yes, the board can be destroyed, but it's extremely rare. We're talking next-level cosmic tampering. And even then, it's never permanent, as the board is tied to the Surfer's essence, and he can reform it using the power cosmic. Also worth noting, the board can act as a dimensional key. It can open portals with an elegance that would make Doctor Strange jealous. Does the Silver Surfer age or die? Let's answer this with a visual. Picture the Silver Surfer floating in the heat of a dying star while centuries tick by like minutes. Not aging, not breaking a sweat. That's because Norrin Radd in his surfer form is effectively immortal, locked in a biological stasis where the usual rules of life and death just don't apply anymore. His cells don't wear out, his cosmic coating doesn't chip, there's no graying hair, no wrinkles forming under those silver cheekbones, he doesn't get colds. No bacteria dares to live on him. He could sit next to the plague and the plague would politely excuse itself. The power cosmic sustains him fully. His body doesn't require calories or hydration, or sunlight, or even REM cycles. Time, in the physical sense, moves around him, but not through him. Thousands of years could pass, and he wouldn't feel like it's been more than a long afternoon. There are stories where civilizations rise and fall while the surfer meditates atop an asteroid, untouched by entropy. He also doesn't suffer from exhaustion or breakdown. There's no burnout or wear and tear because he doesn't operate on mortal mechanics. If his energy gets depleted, he draws more from the power cosmic or ambient cosmic forces. Now, can he die? Well, technically yes, but good luck making that happen. Physical damage isn't going to cut it. Blowing him up or even hurling him through neutron stars won't do the job. If he ever truly dies, it has to be from something outside the universe's laws. Entities like oblivion, death, or beings who exist beyond time could erase him permanently, but even that's rare. He's escaped from death before, and he's outwitted Oblivion's agents. And unless Galactus revokes his gift, the surfer is perpetually just out of reach from the bony hand of the Reaper. He's constantly wrestling with the idea of permanence in a universe where everything else fades. And somehow, that's his greatest strength and his most painful curse. How did becoming the Silver Surfer change his mind and soul? When Norrin Radd first took Galactus' offer, he didn't know he was signing away his own heart. He thought he was saving Zenn-La. In his mind, it was a noble trade, one life for billions. But as we all know, Galactus reshaped his entire being, and that included muting his emotions and memories. He didn't really erase them, he just buried them deep. The early Silver Surfer was a cold guy who scouted planets like a cosmic GPS and didn't pause to ask what lived on them. That's why he could guide Galactus to populated worlds without flinching. If you're incapable of guilt, then you're not really going to feel bad about it. But everything changed when he reached Earth. In Fantastic Four, number 48 through 50, aka the Galactus Trilogy, Surfer meets Alicia Masters, who's a blind sculptor and does what no supernova or gamma blast could. She makes him feel again. Her kindness stirs something in him. That old Zenn-Lavian heart, which was quiet for so long, starts to beat again. When Galactus threatens Earth, the surfer turns on his master. That betrayal comes from a reawakening of his soul, and it costs him. Galactus punishes him by imprisoning him on Earth and cutting him off from the stars he once roamed freely. Over time, he regains his conscience, and with it comes the crushing weight of everything he helped destroy. He remembers the cities turned to ash because of him, all the lives extinguished before he even thought to ask their names. In Silver Surfer Requiem, we see him confront his mortality and legacy as he begins to die. Instead of racing to save himself, he quietly travels the cosmos, trying to bring peace in his final days. He fixes broken ecosystems and comforts dying beings, all while saying his final goodbyes. In Silver Surfer Black, written by Donny Cates and illustrated with hypnotic weirdness by Tradd Moore, we see Surfer flung across time and space, facing younger versions of cosmic threats. Stripped of some power but bursting with self-awareness, he reflects deeply on who he was and who he has become. What are the Silver Surfer's core moral conflicts? If you gave a philosopher the power of a god, what would he do with it? That's the moral knot the Silver Surfer lives in every moment of every second. He can end wars by blinking, but instead of playing the Emperor, he thinks about the choices he didn't question before, like when he led Galactus to innocent worlds. In Annihilation, we get a version of the Surfer who chooses to reclaim the full extent of his power, but on his own terms. After years of holding back, trying to live in quiet reflection, he realizes the galaxy is falling apart. The Annihilation Wave, led by Annihilus, is ripping through space like a virus, and so Surfer returns to Galactus as an equal partner. He reclaims his strength because the universe needs him to act, but this time he chooses when to fight and how far to go. It's the clearest example of him wrestling with the question, can power be ethical if it's used with intention? In Silver Surfer 1987 by Steve Englehart, he repeatedly encounters civilizations at war. He could flatten either side in seconds, but he holds back. He knows that stepping in makes him a judge, and that terrifies him. He's seen what unrestrained power does because he used to be its delivery system. Then there's his cosmic loneliness. He's surrounded by gods, entities with power levels that make nuclear bombs look quaint, and yet he feels alone. In Silver Surfer Parable by Stan Lee and Mobius, Galactus returns to Earth under the guise of a god, letting humans worship him. Surfer is disgusted by how eagerly humanity gives up its free will. The Silver Surfer doesn't see mortals as ants, he sees them as flawed, fragile equals. That's his curse, feeling cosmic distance but emotional closeness. Ultimately, his conflict is the same one we face, just scaled up to galactic proportions. Why is the Silver Surfer so spiritually important in Marvel? You wouldn't expect the guy with a glowing spaceboard to be Marvel's cosmic soul, but Silver Surfer is the closest thing the Marvel Universe has to a wandering monk, a philosopher on a pilgrimage who carries the weight of the cosmos. At his core, the Silver Surfer represents conscience. He's here to ask the impossible questions no one else will and actually care about the answers. What does it mean to be good when you've done terrible things? Can someone born of destruction ever truly bring peace? These aren't side themes, they're the themes, and no one else in Marvel holds on to them as fiercely. Galactus, Eternity, Oblivion, Death, they move planets like chess pieces, but the Surfer doesn't get lost in their grandeur. He talks to them like a bridge between the infinite scale of the cosmic gods and the tiny lives of regular people. And the wild part is he sees value in both. That balance between the godly and the grounded is what makes him Marvel's spiritual compass. To Thor, power is heritage. To Thanos, power is control. But to the Silver Surfer, power is a burden. Every photon blast, every molecule he rearranges comes with a responsibility. Now that's what you call an antithesis of cosmic arrogance. Powers and abilities. Alright, time to drop the humility for a second. The Silver Surfer is stupid powerful. You've seen reality warpers and energy blasters before, but this guy is the full cosmic buffet. Let's break it down. At the base level, he can manipulate any form of energy. That includes electromagnetic, cosmic, thermal, gravitational, and even magical energy under certain conditions. He can absorb and redirect it, or even convert it into pure force. That's why you'll see him tanking star core eruptions and responding with pinpoint photon blasts that can crack moons. He's also a master of matter manipulation. He's turned dead planets into living ecosystems, healed shattered beings down to the cellular level, and he once turned a barren asteroid into a garden just to give a dying alien somewhere peaceful to rest. Flight? Let's just say faster than light is his warm-up speed. He regularly folds space using hyperspace shortcuts from one galaxy to another in seconds. The board responds instantly, whether he's surfing through black holes or weaving between antimatter storms like it's a casual commute. When it comes to telepathy, he's no Professor X, but he can communicate across planets and sense disturbances in the cosmic field. He once calmed an entire warring species with a mental wave of empathy. Now for the feats. Let's talk about his throwdown with Mephisto, that's right, the literal devil. In Mephisto's own infernal dimension, full of illusions and psychic manipulation, the Surfer resisted the devil's tricks, saw through his lies, and beat him. He's flown through stars, not near them, through them. He's surfed across the surface of a sun and came out gleaming. In one story, he absorbs a star's collapse and uses that power to neutralize a god-tier threat. And let's not forget the Infinity Gauntlet. When Thanos wiped out half of the universe, the Surfer was one of the few survivors. He even got the honor of acting as Earth's warning system. He's fought gods, destroyed fleets, defeated demons, and traveled beyond time, but the most terrifying part is that he's still holding back most of the time. What happened in Silver Surfer Black? So picture this. The Silver Surfer gets sucked into a black hole, courtesy of the Black Order, and ends up at the beginning of time itself. We're talking Big Bang proximity. Most people would panic, right? But the Surfer starts soul-searching. Silver Surfer Black, written by Donny Cates and illustrated by Tradd Moore, is less a superhero story and more a fever dream. Think of it as 5 issues of existential poetry wrapped in kaleidoscopic artwork. The Surfer, who's already brooding, is now thrown into the ultimate identity crisis. He's losing power, turning darker, literally, while also drifting through a hostile proto-universe. And then he met Null, the god of the symbiotes. Long before Venom was a thing, Null ruled the Void. I mean, damn, he practically was the Void. It's like H.R. Giger meets Cosmic Satan. Null sees the Surfer as a shiny intruder in his darkness and tries to pull him under, even corrupt him, and for a moment, he succeeds. Veins of shadow start creeping across his silver form. Null represents nothingness, the belief that existence is meaningless, and the Surfer is all about meaning. Even though he's alone, he wants to believe life matters, and in this arc, that belief is tested like never before. Eventually, Norrin resists the corruption by remembering who he is and reignites a dying star to save innocent lives. That act, though small on the cosmic scale, becomes everything as he plants the seeds of resistance. In the final issue, with what little energy he has left, He births light into nothingness. It's one of the most poetic visuals in all of Marvel. The book ends with the Surfer changed, but at peace. His silver form was permanently marred by the darkness he resisted. Silver Surfer Black is a love letter to the idea that light matters, that even at the beginning of everything or the end of yourself, you can choose to believe. Has the Silver Surfer ever rejected or defeated Galactus? Oh yeah, you better believe he has. The dynamic between the Silver Surfer and Galactus is one of the most complicated in Marvel, something between an employee/employer or a child/father. As we've already mentioned, it starts in Fantastic Four, where the Surfer first turns against his creator after being reawakened emotionally by Alicia Masters. He chooses not to find plans to be eaten, and as a result, Galactus smacks him down to Earth on a cosmic timeout. But it didn't end there. In Annihilation, the Surfer voluntarily returns to Galactus because he knows reality itself is at risk, but maybe the biggest, boldest twist? He helps change Galactus himself. In The Ultimates 2016, Surfer is part of a crew that helps trigger Galactus' transformation into a being that creates planets instead of consuming them. That power swap was a shift in philosophy sparked by Surfer's influence. Over time, Galactus starts to see his herald not as a tool, but as an equal, a moral check. In many later stories, especially in Silver Surfer 2011 by Dan Abnett, Galactus even consults the Surfer for advice. There's tension, yes, but also something weirdly close to respect. And don't forget Thanos, the Infinity Ending in 2019, where an older future Silver Surfer, now wielding Thor's hammer by the way, goes full vengeance mode. The Surfer hunts down Galactus in an alternate timeline and straight up murders him with Mjolnir. So, has he rejected Galactus? Yes, many times. Has he defeated him? Once or twice in direct or indirect ways, but more importantly, he changed him. I mean, Galactus is a force of the universe. That's like changing which way the wind blows or which way planets rotate. Of all of his feats, that one might be the greatest. Marvelous verdict! And that, Cosmic Travelers, is the anatomy of the Silver Surfer. He might look like a chrome-plated comet dude, but he's a walking contradiction, both weapon and monk. Maybe that's what makes him truly powerful. But now, we want to hear your take. Is the Silver Surfer the most underrated character in Marvel? Or is he just too philosophical for the punch-first crowd? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's talk Null, Galactus, the board, all of it. We want to hear from you. And hey, if you enjoyed this wild ride across space, hit that like and subscribe button so we can bring you on more such intergalactic journeys. Many such deep dives and more Marvel madness awaits you. Until next time, stay shiny and stay safe, my friends.